Right now, as you're watching this video, millions of Americans are quietly doing the same thing. You're checking your bank account, you're opening your bills, you're wondering how much longer your money will stretch. Groceries cost more, rent is higher, gas doesn't let up, and if you're on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, you already know the truth. Every dollar matters more than ever. This isn't just news. This is your daily reality. This is your family's future. And this is about your wallet. For many people, retirement was supposed to feel safe. Disability benefits were supposed to feel stable. Supplemental security income was supposed to be enough to survive. But today, those promises feel shaky. Inflation doesn't wait, prices don't pause, and benefits don't always keep up. That's why so many Americans are asking one urgent question right now. Is help finally coming? And could it come all at once? Across the country, conversations are heating up about a possible stimulus-style payment combined with a benefit increase. Not later, not years from now, but potentially at the same time. And if that happens, it could change how you pay bills, buy food, and breathe a little easier each month. But here's the problem. The information out there is confusing, emotional, and often misleading. Some headlines promise everything, others say nothing is happening, and most people are left stuck in the middle, unsure what's real and what's noise. That's why this video matters, because today, we're breaking everything down clearly, calmly, and honestly. No hype, no scare tactics, just the facts, the possibilities, and what you need to know right now. We'll talk about SSI, SSDI, and Social Security. We'll talk about increases, stimulus payments, timing, eligibility, and what could realistically happen next. And stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this moment matters, and why staying informed could protect your financial future. Why this conversation is getting louder right now. If you feel like talk of stimulus checks and benefit increases suddenly came back out of nowhere, you're not imagining it. The conversation is getting louder because pressure is building, and it's coming from everywhere. Lawmakers are feeling it, advocacy groups are pushing harder, and everyday Americans are speaking up more than ever. When enough people struggle at the same time, the system can't ignore it forever. The biggest driver behind this renewed discussion is simple: cost of living. Inflation may slow down on paper, but your grocery bill tells a different story. Your electric bill tells a different story. Rent, insurance, medical expenses, they've all risen faster than benefits. For people relying on SSI, SSDI, or Social Security, that gap creates constant stress. It forces impossible choices. Do you skip medication? Do you cut back on food? Do you delay paying a bill and hope nothing shuts off? At the same time, election cycles and budget negotiations are pushing economic relief back into the spotlight. Politicians know that seniors, people with disabilities, and low-income Americans are watching closely. These programs don't affect a small group. They affect tens of millions of voters, families, and caregivers. That's why discussions about temporary relief payments, expanded credits, or emergency assistance are resurfacing alongside long-term benefit adjustments. Another major factor is data. New reports show that many beneficiaries are falling behind despite receiving regular payments. Even with annual adjustments, the math doesn't always work. And when the numbers don't add up for enough people, policymakers are forced to take notice. That's where the idea of combining immediate relief with ongoing increases becomes powerful. But here's the catch. Discussion does not mean approval. Conversations do not equal checks in your mailbox. That's why understanding the difference between proposals, negotiations, and real action is critical. And that's exactly what we're unpacking in this video. What stimulus plus increase at once actually means. When you hear the phrase stimulus plus increase at once, it can sound overwhelming or even unrealistic. So let's slow this down and explain it in plain English. A stimulus-style payment is typically a one-time or short-term financial boost. It's designed to provide immediate relief, money you can use right now for food, rent, utilities, or emergencies. An increase, on the other hand, is a change to your regular monthly benefit. That's money that keeps coming. The reason this combination matters so much is because each solves a different problem. A stimulus helps you catch your breath. An increase helps you stay afloat long-term. When people talk about both happening together, they're talking about addressing today's pain while also preparing for tomorrow's reality. For someone living on a fixed income, that combination could mean stability instead of survival mode. But it's important to understand that these two things come from different processes. A stimulus-style payment usually requires specific legislation or emergency funding. It can be targeted or broad, depending on how it's written. An increase to SSI, SSDI, or Social Security benefits often comes through adjustments, formulas, or policy changes that take time to implement. That's why the idea of both arriving at once creates suspense and skepticism. It's not impossible, but it's complex. It depends on budgets, votes, timelines, and political priorities, and that's why misinformation spreads so easily. Some sources oversimplify it, others exaggerate timelines, and many leave out crucial details that affect real people like you. Understanding how these mechanisms work empowers you. It helps you plan. It helps you avoid panic or false hope, and it puts you in a position to recognize real updates when they happen, instead of reacting to every rumor online. How SSI beneficiaries could be affected. If you're on SSI, you already know how tight things are. SSI is designed to support people with very limited income and resources. That means there's little room for error. Any unexpected expense can throw everything off. That's why SSI recipients are often at the center of discussions about emergency relief and benefit increases. A stimulus-style payment for SSI recipients would likely be structured carefully to avoid harming eligibility. That's a big concern. People worry about resource limits, reporting rules, and potential overpayments. In the past, lawmakers have taken steps to exclude certain payments from counting against SSI limits, and that precedent matters now. An increase to SSI benefits would be even more impactful over time. Even a modest monthly boost could mean better nutrition, safer housing, or access to necessary care. But changes to SSI often face extra scrutiny because the program is needs-based. That doesn't mean increases aren't possible. It means they're debated intensely. For SSI recipients, staying informed is especially important. Changes can affect reporting requirements, timelines, and how benefits interact with other assistance programs. That's why clear, reliable updates matter more than ever. What this could mean for SSDI recipients. SSDI recipients are in a unique position. These benefits are based on work history and disability status, not income limits like SSI. That means relief measures often apply differently. A stimulus-style payment for SSDI recipients would likely be more straightforward, especially if structured broadly. An increase to SSDI benefits could come through adjustments or policy changes aimed at recognizing long-term disability costs. Many SSDI recipients face ongoing medical expenses, limited work options, and rising living costs. An increase could help offset those realities. But SSDI recipients also need clarity. Changes can affect tax considerations, Medicare interactions, and long-term planning. Understanding what's proposed and what's actually approved is essential. Social Security retirees and the big picture. For Social Security retirees, the conversation hits close to home. These benefits are often the backbone of retirement income. When costs rise faster than benefits, stress follows. That's why retirees are watching these discussions so closely. A stimulus-style payment for retirees would be about immediate relief. An increase would be about dignity and security. Together, they represent acknowledgement that fixed incomes need protection in a changing economy. But retirees should be cautious of exaggerated claims. Real changes take time. Staying patient, informed, and prepared is key. The timeline question. Everyone is asking. Here's the suspenseful part. When could any of this actually happen? The honest answer is that timelines depend on legislative action, funding decisions, and implementation processes. Nothing moves overnight, but momentum matters. When discussions intensify, progress becomes possible. Watching official announcements, budget talks, and policy updates is crucial. That's where real signals appear. How to protect yourself from misinformation. In times like this, misinformation spreads fast. Headlines chase clicks, videos promise guarantees. But your financial future deserves better. Always look for confirmation from reliable sources. Be cautious of exact dates and dollar amounts unless they come from official announcements. What you can do right now. You don't have to wait passively. Stay informed. Review your budget. Understand your benefits. Prepare for change without depending on rumors. Knowledge gives you power and peace of mind. Why this is not just politics, it's personal for some people. Policy debates are just background noise. For you, this isn't abstract. This isn't theoretical. This is personal. When lawmakers talk about budgets, you hear rent. When they talk about inflation, you feel groceries. When they debate benefit increases, you're thinking about prescriptions, utilities, and whether your money lasts until the end of the month. That's why this moment cuts deeper than headlines. If you're on SSI, SSDI, or Social Security, your income isn't flexible. You can't just work more hours when prices rise. You can't negotiate your benefit amount at the checkout line. Every increase in cost hits you directly, and every delay in relief feels heavier with time. That's why discussions about stimulus-style payments and benefit increases feel urgent. They aren't political chess moves, they're lifelines. What makes this moment especially intense is that many families are stretched on multiple fronts. You may be helping adult children who are struggling, you may be supporting grandchildren, you may be dealing with medical issues that didn't exist 5 years ago. The financial pressure compounds, and the system hasn't always adjusted fast enough to reflect that reality. This is also why trust matters so much right now. People are tired of being promised help eventually. They want clarity, they want honesty, and they want to know whether relief will arrive in time to make a difference. That emotional weight is why this topic keeps trending, resurfacing, and gaining momentum. It's not hype, it's necessity. Understanding that your experience is shared by millions of others is important. You are not alone in feeling this pressure, and when enough people experience the same strain at the same time, change becomes harder to ignore. What happens if nothing changes? The risk no one talks about. Here's a question that doesn't get asked often enough. What happens if there is no stimulus and no meaningful increase? Because silence has consequences too. When benefits fail to keep pace with real-world costs, the damage doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly, gradually, month by month. First comes the trade-offs: cheaper food, fewer doctor visits, delayed prescriptions. Then come the harder choices: borrowing money, falling behind on bills, relying on credit, or asking family for help when pride says not to. Over time, these coping strategies turn into long-term instability, and that instability costs more to families, to communities, and eventually to the system itself. This is why economists and advocacy groups keep warning that inaction isn't neutral. Doing nothing doesn't preserve the status quo. It allows conditions to worsen. And for fixed-income households, worsening conditions can quickly turn into crisis. That's why temporary relief combined with structural improvements keeps returning to the conversation. It's not generosity, it's prevention. Another risk of inaction is misinformation. When people feel ignored, they turn to rumors. They cling to unverified claims. They make financial decisions based on hope instead of facts. That's dangerous. It can lead to spending money that hasn't arrived or delaying necessary decisions while waiting for help that may not come. That's why balanced information matters so much. You deserve clarity, not confusion, preparation, not panic. And understanding both the possibilities and the risks gives you control in an uncertain moment. Signs to watch for that real change is coming. So how do you tell the difference between talk and action? There are signals that matter, and knowing them helps you stay ahead instead of reacting late. One major sign is language shift. When officials move from vague concern to specific frameworks, timelines, or funding discussions, that's meaningful. Another signal is budget alignment. When money starts getting allocated on paper, things get real. Committee hearings, formal proposals, and bipartisan language are also indicators. When multiple groups start echoing the same concerns using similar wording, momentum is building. It doesn't guarantee approval, but it shows pressure is working. You should also pay attention to how programs are grouped. When SSI, SSDI, and Social Security are discussed together, it often signals a broader approach rather than isolated changes. That increases the chances of coordinated relief rather than piecemeal action. The key is patience paired with awareness. Big systems don't move fast, but they do leave footprints when they start moving. And knowing what those footprints look like keeps you informed without being overwhelmed. This story isn't finished, not even close. What happens next could affect your income, your stability, and your sense of security. And in times like this, staying connected matters more than ever. Following reliable updates means you won't be caught off guard. It means you'll understand changes when they happen, not after. It means you'll be prepared to protect your family and your wallet. This isn't about chasing headlines. It's about safeguarding your future. And the people who stay informed are always one step ahead. Stay alert, stay educated, and stay with us, because the next update could change everything.